Here we go then, the battle of the two Huez. This is the 785 Huez from Look, and this is the Time Alpe d'Huez X, not to be confused with the older ADHX. Two bikes in from two famous French design houses that share the same namesake of that famous Alpine pass. Let's see how they compare. In case you're wondering, both of these bikes were brought and paid for by us at a discounted price from those brands because we're a dealer of both Look and Time. We're a dealer because I really admire the build quality and design of both these brands. You're able to come to our shop here in Cumbria and test ride these bikes for yourself. With that all said, let's get back to it. Let's start with the Look 785 Huez. Now, we did review this on the channel before. We did a stripped down build review and talked you through all the design characteristics. Since then, I've had a lot more time to ride it, including riding the Étape des Dales. Étape des Dales Sportive, 183 kilometers and true British style. The second you get a white bike out, it starts raining. This is what it means to be British. Where are we in? So 30k-ish in. Haven't ridden this bike for a little while, so just getting used to the descents. It's really wet today, so you can see got those Michelins on. Pumped up quite high, like 70 something PSI with the tube, so not ideal in these conditions. Now we are talking, sun is out, see the tyres drying as we speak. A bit of a climb to do. Look at this, Yorkshire is just full. These fascinating little cavey rocky outcrops, lovely moorland, and they call it God's own country. On a sunny day, when the rock dries, it's sort of a grey white glistening colour. It's beautiful. Alright, it's a right steep climb. Look, Sally's even out of the saddle. Can confirm, for a climbing bike, it does climb very well. It's really good and stiff on the front when you get out the saddle, and even those handlebars feels great. Makes you sort of want to dance on the saddle. Love it so far. This looks naughty. What the hell is that? Coming in Yorkshire. No more. My legs hurt. Oh. So the question is, how does this is the Time Alpe d'Huez X compare? Remember, this is the new-ish Alpe d'Huez X, not to be confused with the ADHX, which was a gravel bike that we made the case was actually more like an all-road bike. This is more like the roadification of the ADHX, or is it the detuning of the Alpe d'Huez 23? In all honesty, the most interesting thing about this bike is not the fact that it's new or it's a Time. It's probably the fact that it's been redesigned rather than designed based on your feedback. Yep, I know that the guys from Time read your comments, watched our reviews, and actually delivered on what we asked for. So let's see if we got it right. Right, we better take this thing up a hill. I mean, after all, it's called the Alpe d'Huez. But you'd be glad to know, on the way here, all those undulations, it rides like a Time. Nothing rides as smooth as a Time. It's just a reassuringly smooth ride. Here's the thing, in so far, nothing about this bike has goaded me into a higher heart rate or given it some beans. You know, really attacking something like a real race bike does. But it does remind me much more of having a friendly companion, someone that coaxes you along saying, come on, we can do this, let's give it a go. Look at that, isn't that magnificent? Now you might notice I'm almost at the top and I'm hardly even out of breath. But let's get to the top and let's talk about that. Here we go, this is the top of the Kirkstone Pass, one of the longest climbs here in the Lake District. Over behind the camera there is Lake Windermere, looking absolutely stunning, but it means I'll be shooting into the sun. Coming up here on this Time Alpe d'Huez X, the bike that bears the name of that famous climb in France, all I can say, it was a perfectly pleasant experience. It didn't goad me to get out of the saddle and give it some beans and get my heart rate up. I didn't get the adrenaline chasing. It just felt really pleasant and comfortable. It was nice and smooth, and I got to the top feeling fresh and energized and thinking, yeah, what a nice day. I don't know if that's the sort of riding that you do or not. Sometimes it is for me, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes I like to be on a nice lightweight responsive bike, but it did get me thinking. You see, recently I've been riding the 785, the Huez, the other bike that bears that famous namesake, and that was a bike very much around climbing, and that was a bike that just wanted me to get out of the saddle. It sort of said, come on, let's get out of the saddle, let's dance on the pedals, and that's what that felt like. This didn't reward getting out of the pedals at all. In fact, it feels a little bit clumsy. Don't get me wrong, it's perfectly stiff and responsive enough. It just performs better when you're sat down and in a sort of a cruising type of attitude, I suppose. This has got me thinking, this isn't a bike to replace the current Alpe d'Huez 23. It is not that lovely lightweight responsive climbing bike. It's also not as cumbersome and a gravel bike trying to be a road bike. It's more like what you'd expect an endurance bike to be, which begs the question, do they even need the fluidity model? We've talked about it on the channel before, but now after riding this, I'm thinking maybe Time need to do a trek and a Specialized and have a super lightweight responsive bike, the Skylon. We know that is meant to be coming very soon, and this, and maybe they just don't need that fluidity. Right, I'm going to shoot off down the hill because I suspect this is going to feel very stiff, very composed, and very confidence inspiring. So let's go find out. For those of you that know the Kirkstone Pass, the top section of this is horrible, bumpy, pitted, typical mountain road sort of stuff. That felt super good. I even did a little bit of bunny hopping over some potholes and stuff. Felt perfectly composed. Yeah, that was what I was expecting. Just a totally confidence inspiring cruise downhill. Just felt like I could lead into the corners, look up, enjoy myself, and just carry some speed, full of confidence. And that is really, I mean, that's what all time bikes do really, and this didn't disappoint. I wasn't expecting it to. Going to present a few people with quite a dilemma, but it is raining, and I think we should talk about this once I've had to think about it back in the studio. When it comes to the geometry of these two bikes, they are actually very, very different. You can put this into Geometry Geeks and make the comparisons yourselves, but the Look 785 is both longer and taller than the equivalent size from the Time, but the Look also has much shorter front center, rear center, and therefore overall wheelbase, making this feel like a little bit more of a nippier, racier feel than this longer wheelbase cruiser. Two other geometry issues that really differentiate between these bikes. The Look actually has the longer trail measurement, and that is the distance between the vertical line here and the angle of the fork and how that tyre interacts with the ground. Now that longer trail measurement means that in theory, this should give us a slightly more confident feeling ride in a straight line, but might sacrifice some more nimble handling for it. It doesn't feel like that so much on the road. The other thing I like about this one is actually it has the steeper seat angle, a 74-degree seat angle, which for me feels like I'm rotated further forward and I've got a more powerful pedal stroke for it. Not to everyone's taste, but it is something that I like about this bike. Right, let's have a think about a conclusion then. For me right now, Look have a lineup of three very distinguishable bikes in the range. The 795 Aero race bike, absolute classic race weapon. This is edging towards an endurance bike, but probably on the racier side of that spectrum. And they also have the Optimum, which is the epitome of long and slack endurance bikes. Time are pretty much reimagining the ADH, the Alpe d'Huez triangle shape, and then adding to it to make gravel bikes and this all-road bike, but essentially sticking to the same chassis. I think what we're all waiting for is for Time to release that long-awaited Skylon, which should be their lightweight aero race bike that we're really looking forward to. And we asked the question then, is that going to completely replace the current Time ADH 23? Or what I would like to see is that ADH 23 come out with tyre clearance for 32 millimeters, and then later on we see the fluidity, which has been long promised as well, which makes this kind of fairly short-lived, because I think when those two bikes arrive, I don't see a space for this in a range anymore. But as it stands right now, the range as it is, I've had to choose between the two. If you like a slightly more energetic, lively, adrenaline-fueled ride, I think the Look 785 is the one to go for. This just encourages you to get out of the saddle, give it some beans, get the heart rate up. The Time is a much smoother, more pleasant ride, stiff, confidence inspiring, but doesn't quite ignite that same level of excitement as I think the Look does. I really think if you want that same level of excitement and adrenaline fueled ride out of a Time bike, right now, until the Skylon launches, you need to be looking at the ADH 24, which is limited to 28mm tyres. The argument to that is because Time bikes ride so smoothly, you don't necessarily need the tyres, but I have to say, I think I would like the option of a 30 or a 32 tyre on that bike especially. Okay, I think that's all I have to say on the matter. The reality is, if you chose either one of these two bikes, you would be very happy with your decision, whichever way it goes. If you want to learn more about the fabulous build quality that goes into these Time bikes, I'll put some links down in the video description. If you want to know more about the build quality of the Look 785 that we mentioned at the start, you'll also find that down in the description. Please think about subscribing to the channel, and until next time, take it easy, and hopefully it won't be long until we see a Skylon on the channel.